The job market is tough for a lot of reasons, AI being one of them. Today, I'm going to show you how you can stand out amongst the crowd and secure a role as a software engineer by building this full-stack Airbnb clone. If you're new here, hi, my name's Zoe. I'm a self-taught software engineer who has secured multiple six-figure job offers, and I've worked as an engineer for major companies like IKEA. I mentor folks who are interested in getting a software engineering job, both here on YouTube and in one-on-one coaching sessions. If you're interested in learning how to get a six-figure job as a software engineer, even without a computer science background, keep watching or click that first link in the description below. But without further ado, let's hop into the build. All right, so first things first, of course, this is Airbnb. This is what we're going to be building this week. And as I said, we're going to be building a full stack build from the ground up. And so we're going to be building everything from the landing page all the way through to the individual guest listing pages. So to get started with this, I went ahead and got my starter project up and running. As I said, if you want to follow along, you can use the repository that I've linked in the description below. It's called Next.js Starter App. And what this is just a starter that has Material UI, Next.js, TypeScript pre-installed and pre-set up, so you don't need to spend a few minutes doing that. Really just an optimization to make things a little bit faster. But as I said, feel free to use it or to use your own build, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. All right, so this is the app. It's up and running. Let's just quickly go through the file and folder structure, and I'll explain what I'm thinking about doing. So if you're familiar with Next.js, you'll know we have our app folder, we have our public folder with, whatever logos and things Next is already built in. And then we have our layout and our page folders. So yeah, pretty straightforward, nothing crazy here. As I said, I've just gone ahead and set up the Material UI connection already so that we don't have to do that ourselves. But looking over to our plan. So yeah, as I said, we're going to be starting with our architecture first. So that's going to be over here. We're going to say architecture, which is going to be primarily, we're going to use Next.js, as I said, to start to build our front-end pieces, which of course means we're going to be using React. And then we are going to use for our backend, for our database, we're going to use Supabase to save all of our data. We're going to be building that out later in the video, probably use Prisma or something to connect everything, or React Query, but we'll get there when we get there. All right, so first I want to focus on this first part of the architecture, which is just building out our Next.js and React pieces. So for that, what that is going to require, we're going to have to build out several different components here, right? So when you look at Airbnb, you have your landing page, which has all of your category filters, it has all of your initial listings. So those are the ones that Airbnb is populating and sort of saying hey, maybe this is what you're interested in. And what else do we have on our initial page? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and you have your nav bar and your sort of search section here. So we'll add that. You say you have your nav and you have your search. So these are the pieces that we want to focus on in terms of that, initial landing page. But then we also have our actual listing pages. So we have our listing pages. Hold that up. All right, so yeah, for our listing pages now, let's take a look at one of these. So we have our same nav bar and search at the top, because you can actually just go back and search here. So we'll make a note of that. So we have nav and search. And then underneath that now we have our actual listing itself. We have the sort of details and descriptions, the photos, things like that. And then we have our ability to book, so our actual booking widget, modal, whatever you want to call it there. And then just more information. All right, and then, also one piece that we forgot is the footer. So the footer is actually going to have to live across both of these. So let's add that in. I'm doing this just to make sure that we have all the details for our page, because this is a more complex web app. We want to make sure that we're not missing anything. So we'll have our listing description, and photos. We have our bookable booking calendar, and then we have our footer. All right, so that is going to be our listing pages. And then let's see if I go in here and I try to actually book. Let's book a couple of days there. And if I click to reserve, then we have our actual booking page. So this is another page that we're going to need to make. So then let me make a third box here. I'm going to call this booking page. And this it does not have our search. It has a footer, but it's like a minimalized footer. So I'll say minimal footer. And then it just has our general booking information, and this is where we're going to be hooking up our Stripe API and just connecting so we can actually take payment. Well, fake payment, but us. And so we have our payment. And then the last section that we're going to need is some sort of user profile. So we're just going to go ahead and set up something really basic using OAuth / a user account. And this is just going to be really basic information. We're going to have the ability to sign to log in / log out. And then, update your profile picture. And we'll probably have the footer on this page as well. And so those are our 4 main page types, because obviously listing pages are going to be a lot of them. Landing page is only going to be one. Booking page will change based on what the listing is. And then, of course, you're going to only have a couple of pages or one page for your OAuth. The OAuth will be in a modal, but your user account information. So now that we have this built out, we can see that there are a couple of pieces that we have that are that go sort of between multiple pages. So if I just move this up right here to make it a little bit clearer, I'm going to move this up here. Good. And this will probably be a minimal footer as well. There are a couple of pieces that we share. So I want to get started on building some of these shared pieces, and then we can focus on building the overall page itself. So yeah, these 3, for instance, are going to be repeated between at least these 2 pages. And then, for instance, the minimal footer is going to be repeated at least through these 2 pages. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because one of the most important things for me when I'm building an application is actually my file and folder structure. So I'm going to create a folder called components and start with that. Now, within my components folder, I can break this out into several different ways. I could do it by pages. I could do it, just sort of all the different types of components as sort of all over the place. What I'm going to start by doing, I'm going to create another folder within components. I'm going to call it shared. And this is where I'm going to have all of my shared components. So we're talking about the nav, the search, the footer, things that are shared on multiple pages. So first things first, I'm going to want to go ahead and build this nav just because it's sort of the piece that makes this work across everything. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started there. So for the nav, I'm going to go ahead and create a new file. We're going to say nav.tsx. Good. And yeah, we have our nav there. And then I'm just going to bring it into my page here. So I'm going to go ahead and just clear out my entire page because I'm not going to use any of the stylings that exist already. And I'm just going to put let's see. I'm going to do a container for the entire page because as you can see, there's a little bit of a margin on the left and the right here. So I'm going to do a container here. So I'm going to say container. I'm going to say max width is going to be XL for now. I'm going to save that. And then within that, I'm going to put our nav. I'm going to save that. And it should be able to find it. There we go. Awesome. So it's gone ahead and imported our nav. Perfect. So if I go back to our app, good. Looking good. The other thing I want to do here is change the color scheme to light because this is a Next.js sort of built in. It's going to default to light, but it was going to default to dark, based on their new setup, or at least what I put in my shared repository, but I want it to default to light instead of dark. All right, cool. So we have our light color scheme going now. The other thing I want to do when I do start getting started with these things, I usually create another folder called styles. And I'll do an index.ts in there. And really what I want to do is just set up my colors so that I don't have to sort of copy the same colors, especially when I'm building a very brand specific site like this one here. So I'm going to say export const colors equals, I'm just going to create an object. I'm going to go ahead and using this color picker tool, really useful tool if you don't have it installed already, I'm just going to go ahead and pick a couple of Airbnb colors. So the background is going to be white. So I'm just going to go ahead and say white is, that's going to be our background. I'm going to grab this light gray color here. Grab that. not saying this is... All right, let's grab this pink. Maybe that'll help reset it. Let's do the pink. And then let's see if we can grab this white. It's still saying it's totally white, which I can see that it's not. Interesting. Ah, there we go. Kind of. I'm not sure if that's the light gray, but we'll use that for now. Good. And then what other colors do we need? I guess we can grab this black because that's going to be, it's not going to be standard black. So we'll say black is going to be this. Whoops. Good. And then what else do we need? Yeah, I think that's it. Ah, okay, maybe this is our light gray. So it's F7. This is going to be the background for our header and our nav and our footer. So that looks pretty good. What else do we need? Let's take a look at the booking page. We do have that like purple. And let's see what color this gray is. That looks like that same gray. They keep it pretty simple. Yeah, I think we're going to keep it pretty simple as well, just to make our lives a little bit easier. All right, so we have our initial couple of colors. We'll add in more as we need them. In fact, let's grab one more before we get started. That's our F2, F2, F2. So that's going to be our, let's say light gray 300. I'm just making up numbers at this point. We're going to do light gray 500, and it's going to be F2, F2, F2. We're going to save that. Cool. So now that we have those colors set up, again, let's go back and build our header. So the header is our logo on one side, our homes, experiences, services, options, which kind of shrink into that later. It's going to be become a host, some buttons on the left and the right there, and then we have our actual like search piece here. The search piece we're going to be building out fully in later down the road, just because we're going to have to hook that up to our API and things like that. But for now, let's start building out the general, just the gist of what we're doing here. So first things first, I'm going to see if I can grab this logo from Airbnb. Let me see if I can inspect it and see if I can grab that. All right, let me just go ahead and download an Airbnb logo. Images. Cool. We're going to go ahead and save this. And we're just going to save this to our project. All right, cool. So I've created an images folder within my public folder, and I'm just going to save all my images for the project here. So close that out, and then let's get back to our logo. All right, so it's Airbnb, homes, experiences, services, become a host. So it's kind of 3 sections here. So hopping back over into our nav here, I'm going to turn this into a box just because it allows me to use the Material UI SX prop, which I think will help. And then we're going to create an image tag from Next. And then the source is going to be /images/ Airbnb. Is it logo? Yeah, -logo .png. I'm going to guess the width for now. We're going to say 100, and height we'll say 30. 30, and then the alt will be Airbnb logo. We'll save that. So that'll be our first piece. Then I'm going to have another box here, and that's just going to be our 3 buttons. And are they buttons? They're kind of like tabs almost. And I'm probably going to want to actually make these their own components. So let me go ahead and create, actually within shared, I'm going to create another folder. They're going to be, you'll notice there are going to be a lot of folders in this, in this project. So within shared, I'm going to create navigation. I'm going to put nav in there. And then I'm also going to create a new file called tabs or tab.tsx. And again, this is just part of being organized and what separates you from like every other developer who's trying to get the same job. So within the tab, I'm going to keep it simple for now. I'm just going to say, name and then on click. And it's going to be a button. I'm going to say interface props. And again, using TypeScript just shows that you're able to handle types, you're able to work with types, and it's a really good skill to have. Because especially when you get to bigger organizations, this is how they protect a lot of what they're doing. By having good type safety. It might be overkill for a personal project, but I personally think it's helpful sometimes. It catches things that I miss as a developer. All right, so we're going to have the name here, and then we're going to say on click. It's going to be the on click. Awesome. And we're just going to save that. So we have our nav, and then within this box now, I'm just going to put our tab. So I'm going to say, what's our first tab going to be? Homes. Homes, experiences, services. Easy. All right, so let's say tab. I'm going to say name is homes. And then on click is just going to be, I'm going to create a handler. Here's a const handle tab switch. And right now it's just going to return. We're just going to put that there. Cool. So we'll just make 3 of these, and we're going to say experiences. Perfect. And then we're going to say services. Awesome. And so now we have that middle section there. It's going to be, it needs to be a client component. So one of the good things about Next.js is that it allows you to make both client and server components in order to optimize rendering and performance, but you do need to remember to change the type of components that you have. All right, so it's complaining in nav. Yeah, all right, so I'm going to turn this into a client component, which I would have had to do anyway. So you just add use client up here at the top, and there we go. We have our component. And it's not looking bad so far. It's looking all right. Another thing I'm going to do while I'm here, while I notice it, is I'm going to go ahead and change this to be a flex box, because that's going to allow my pieces to lay across as opposed to stacked on top of each other. Another optimization I could do here with the style is say align items to the center, just so that they don't sort of stack unevenly. And we can also add in a bit of a margin here. You can see there's a bit of space there. This space is going to be from our container, so we don't need to worry about that. But there's a bit of space here. And then we can also say how we want our spacing to be. So I'm going to say, we're going to do margin top and bottom. Let's do 2 rem for now. And left and right, we'll leave it alone. As I said, the container is going to handle that for us. And then for the justified content, we're going to say space between. And we'll do that for now. Next thing we're going to do now is to add that piece on the right. So we're going to add another box here. And I'm going to say, all right, so it's 3 buttons: become a host, this globe, and these 3, like open up the menu. And these are all buttons. So we're going to go ahead and create another component. Now I'm just going to look through the site really quickly and see how many different types of buttons there are. So there's this, which is like, I would call it maybe a primary button. And this is more, I don't know if I want to call it a nav button. It's more of like a secondary button, in my opinion. Like primary being like a CTA, secondary being like something that you could click on, but it's not necessarily what you're, like the first thing you're supposed to click on. So I'm going to call these secondary buttons, and I'm going to create that style, and we'll also create our primary button once we get to it. So I'm going to create another component, and this I'm actually just going to put in shared because I realize it's going to be used in multiple places. So I'm going to say new file. We're going to say secondary button. And then this secondary button is just going to take, I guess the name of the button, or like the title, or like whatever the child of the button is supposed to be. Because it could be like a whole SVG image type thing. So let me say, maybe it takes children. I'm going to say react dot react node, I believe it is. And then we're going to say it takes children. Just so it leaves me a little bit more open to put whatever I want down here. And then here, not a box. Sorry, we're going to do a button. And again, you want to be using, you don't necessarily want to style a div or a box in our case, but a box is just going to compile to a div as a button, because you want to make sure that you're being accessible, you're using best practices. And if you're doing something that needs to be clicked on, that's a button, just make it a button. That's the best practice way of doing it. So we're going to have a button here, and then inside we're just going to pass children. Now Material UI has its own built-in settings and styles for the buttons. So for this, what we're going to do, it's probably going to be, let's see, the color of whatever I pass to it is going to be our colors dot black. So if it's a string, hopefully that would take over. And then the background color is going to be that colors dot light gray. I think it's the 500, but we can always change that. And then the border radius, I think we can do 50% or 4rem. Let me try 4rem and see how that works. And that'll be our like circular. Let me do 50% and see what happens, because sometimes I know 50% gets it a little weird, or maybe I'm swapping the two in my head. And then the other thing that I have already forgotten to do that we should do is change our background here. So in our nav, let's go ahead and say background color should be colors dot let's see, colors dot light gray 300, I think. And that should be it. So let's take a look at what we have so far. Homes, experience, services. Okay, not looking too bad. The only issue we're running into here is that because we have our container on the outside, it's putting this on the inside. So really, actually, I need to readjust what I'm doing here. So I'm going to have probably just a box on the outside. Move that there. I'm going to move the nav up here. And then within the nav itself, I'm going to wrap it in a container. So I'm going to say container. And then we're going to, container. We're going to say max width is going to be XL. And save that. And then on our page itself, we're going to say display flex. We're going to say flex direction is going to be column. Otherwise, they're going to be competing left and right. So let's see. Flex direction column. Oh, and we should do maybe align items. Yeah, center. Good. All right. Still not getting the full width, though. Why is that? We have our nav. We have our box. Let me take a look at what's going on here. I might need to just set it to be width 100%. Or maybe I need to set the width of the nav to be 100%. Or no, I'm silly. I'm silly. All right. The reason it's not working is because I need to not make this a box. I need to make a container within. All right. So let's do container. Down here, we'll say display flex. or sorry, not display flex. We'll say max width is going to be XL. Good. And then we're going to do all of this in here. And then we're going to say width is either going to be 100% or 100 view width. 100%. Perfect. All right, cool. So that's what we're looking for. So we have our container. We have everything in the inside. I think, is it an XL container we're looking for? Maybe a large container, which would impact the rest of the site. Let's see. That change? Oh, we have an issue. What's our issue? Okay. Large looks okay. It doesn't look any different, actually. If I do small. Let's say line item center, margin, display flex, justify content, space between. Ah, yeah, that is interesting that it's not taking up the whole space. We'll say width 100%. Let's say, oh, okay, I know what's going on. We're going to say display flex. And we're going to say justify content center. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to making this large, and then we're going to say width. Actually, yeah, width 100%. Okay, so maybe I want to do extra large. Yeah, extra large I think is the way to go here. Because now, look at where our margins are. We might even need to do it even bigger than that. But anyway, all right, so homes, experiences, services, become a host, and the globe, and the three pieces there. So we're going to say, we're going to do our button, and this is going to be our secondary button. And then it's going to be become a host. And then we're going to paste our other two pieces in there. Yeah, 50% gives it a weird border radius. Another thing I'm going to want to pass is SX props. Because I'm going to want to override this style sometimes. Like for the first one, I'm going to want to override it. And I'm going to not make it required. So I'll say SX equals background color inherits. So yeah, that first one I don't actually want a background color. All right, so now let me go to Material UI and get some icons. And I need a globe. That works. Do that. We'll say language icon here. And then we need our menu options. We'll say menu. And we'll say menu icon. We'll save that there. And we need to import it. Good. All right. So we have our menu icon. There we go. This we're going to do 4 rem. Save that. Let's do 20 rem. Oh, I know what it is. It's that the icons themselves are wide. Let's say width is 2 rem. What if I fix it? If it'll height is 2 rem. Save that. No, all right. Let's see where all this extra padding. Okay, so there is built-in padding left, right of. So let's reset the padding. We'll say padding 0 for now. Let's see what that does. All right, so now we just have a really wide element. Why do we have a wide element? The image is 24 by 24. But the span inside is, oh, I guess that's like the click area. All right, let's say padding 4 rem all around. Just see what that does. There we go. We have our circle. All right, so let's do 1 rem all around. Let's do 0.5 rem all around. Okay, and that's where we run into our issue. Okay, so, how do we do this? Let's say font size. I'm wondering if that's going to work. Let's say 1 rem to make it a little bit smaller. Would that? No, that's not going to work for SVGs. Let's say height is 1 rem. That's not going to work for the SVGs either. The padding works, it's just the buttons are a little bit too big. Let's go ahead and maybe I can change it here. Let's say height. Let's save that. There we go. All right, so let's do 1.5 rem. Or is that what we're at right now? We're literally at 1.5 rem. All right, let's do 1 rem. How big are these on the website? They're really big, actually. I think what's killing me is just the size. The sides. What if I just did a regular button? Like just a regular old button. I'm going to change this to style. Style. Why is it upset? Why is this upset? Let's see what CSS style prop. Oh, does it need to be in quotes? Is that what it's called? All right, maybe we don't make it a regular button. I've gone too far down this path. All right, so we have our colors, padding. Honestly, it doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't look great. And also, I don't think that's a dark enough gray. Anyway, let's leave this for a moment and keep going. Oh, actually, no, sorry. One more thing I need to do is say text transform. None. Put a comma there. good. Become a host. Let's change that. And one thing I'm going to do throughout this challenge is employ AI to help me get a job, but it just to actually employ AI to just help me fix these like sort of more tedious problems. So I'm going to say in secondary button, I'm going to use Claude, or you could use Codex, whatever you prefer. In secondary button, make the buttons perfectly round. We're going to see how that handles it. Yeah, and I think this is a good way. Let's try that. I don't know if that's going to work, but if it worked, it'd be great. Yeah, it's like this is a good way to use AI to help you. Okay, perfectly, I did it right. See, we were right with the 50% at the beginning. We just should have trusted ourselves. Anyway, yeah, it's a good way, I think, to use AI to help you when you understand how to do something. You just are stuck, and you don't want to waste more time trying to figure out a problem. So really, we were right with our 50% border radius at the beginning. I really should have just stuck with it for a little bit longer. This is a lot of also extra stuff, I would say. Let me see if I do this, what happens. Okay, no, maybe not. Maybe it's good. Maybe we need all these extra styles. But I think that works for me. My other thing is, why is it overlapping here? Oh, it's because it has a fixed height. What if I say max height, max width? Did that completely screw everything up? I'm wondering why. Oh, you know what? I could just yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to override it for this one. I'm going to say width equals fit content. And save that. Perfect. All right, cool. Exactly what I wanted to do. The other thing that I'm going to need to do here is add a little bit of spacing between them. So we're going to go ahead and say margin. Top, bottom we'll leave alone, but left, right, we're going to go 1 rem. Let's do 0.5 rem. Cool. And that doesn't look too bad so far. Let's go ahead and fix up these buttons in the middle now that we kind of have a better sense of what's going on. All right, so it's going to be homes, and when you click on them, it's going to underline each of them, which is quite cool. So first things first, let's go back to our not secondary, but our tab. And we're going to say, so this is a button. Let me see actually if Material UI has a tab, because I think I saw something about a tab when I was looking here. Yes, tabs. All right, item 1. Oh, it does it already. Amazing. All right, so really, I'm here creating things that don't need to be created. So we can just do this. We're just going to copy this and use that as our tab system. That's great. So actually, I'm just going to rename this to tabs, and I'm just going to return this. Let's actually rename it to navigation tabs, so we don't have a name conflict. We're going to say navigation tabs and navigation tabs, great. And then we're going to import all of these from Material UI. And then we are going to replace tab here with navigation tabs. Awesome. What does that need? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of these. It might still need some props, but for now it doesn't need those props. So let's take a look at the code here. So the value. Okay, so when you click, it changes the value, which makes sense. Which will be something that when we get to state handling, we probably want to think if we're going to use Redux or we're going to use stand or another state handling scenario. So like when we click, let's see what happens here. When we click experiences, services, homes, if you take a look at the URL, it actually changes the URL. So this is almost more like links. They're actually like routing. So we might end up using like React Router or something like that to route or whatever built in we can use with Next. Because it's gonna change our link. So which actually, when we go back to our Fig Jam, we have our landing page. But our landing page, each of these pages are actually different category pages. Now, they're pretty much the same page, but we want to be sort of cognizant of the fact that the landing page has the category pages. So I'm actually just going to add a little information here. So let's move a couple of these things around. As I said, I like having this as just what we're doing. So we have a map. Set up our landing page, we have our listing pages, and then let's do another square. Do there. We're gonna say our we're gonna say our category pages, which will come from our landing pages. So we're just gonna remind myself about that, just so that when we get there, it makes sense. So back to the build itself. It's upside about value, right? Because we haven't decided the value. For now, I'm just gonna say const value, set value, knowing that we're gonna update this later to be our routing. And then I'm also gonna have to change this to be a client component so that it doesn't complain about that. Save that. And then we're going to say handle change. On change, we're going to say const change tabs. Handle change tabs. I like to have really specific names so I know, this is a handle change. Handle change in which component? No, handle change tabs. Got you, that's in the tabs component. Unless it's something I'm actually going to reuse in multiple places. The ARIA label here is going to be the category tabs. And then what are these ally props that they're passing here? Oh, that's quite interesting. And they're making a custom tab panel. No, that's actually, I need that too. Item 1, 2, 3. Do I need that? No, I think that's the result. And that's the response to the tabs. I don't know. Let's fill it out and see what happens. I'm gonna get rid of these for the moment, but we can add that back in our last accessibility check. And let's take a look at what this is looking like right now. Item 1, 2, 3. All right, that doesn't look too bad. But what issues do we have here? The value provided, none of the tabs match with it. Get better. There we go. Okay, item 1, 2, 3. Okay, so then we want to make sure that the setting is working correctly. So, okay, let me copy this. So, it's actually doing it numerically, which is interesting. We're going to say set value to be new value. Okay. See if that works. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Look at that. Amazing. All right. So now we need to go back in and change what they are. So we'll say homes, experiences, and the services. Okay. Cool. Looking pretty good. Now the label, maybe we can do text transform none. Can we do that? Or do we need to make custom labels? Okay, no, that works. Text transform none. We're gonna go color. Let's see if it lets me use my colors. Dot black. No. Okay. How do I target the colors here? Oh, so when it's unselected, it's black. What if we do comma, whoops, comma, and dot MUI select, oops, selected, selection, selected. We'll say color, colors dot black. See if that works. Ah, there we go. That looks good. And then, oh, actually, yeah. So when it's not selected, it should be like a gray. That gray. That's the gray it should be when it's not selected. So these are actually two different colors. So we're going to say, this is going to be a dark gray. Where are our colors? All right, good. We're going to say dark gray, 500. Why not? And that's going to be that first color. I'm gonna attempt to do this in alphabetical order. We'll see if that works. Dark gray. We are going to go back to our tabs, and then this is going to be our initial color. So we'll say colors dot dark gray. Okay. So they're dark gray. Oh well, it's dark gray and then it's black. So this is the one that I've made so far, and I need to basically either use this as a custom tab or copy and paste it 3 times. The other thing I want to figure out is this padding. There's no border on the button itself. Where's the border? How do we get that? Because I like that feature. It's exactly what we want to do. But I want... Oh, is it like a before and after thing? Is that what they're doing? I want to make sure that the border matches, right? Like, can I just inspect that little element? Nope. Okay. All right. Oh, I wonder if I have that other thing. No, I don't have it installed. There's another thing that's like CSS box, and it shows you exactly which piece falls in where. Border box, padding, but there's no border. Homes. It must be the span, right? Like, bottom 20, 30. Overflow hidden. I don't know what element this is. Or is that just the whole thing? And does it include the blue? I don't think it does. Button. I think the button, button I think includes the blue. Oof. This is going to be... Oh, the indicator. There it is. I was like, it has to be here somewhere. All right, so the indicator. Background color. All right, so how do we target this? This is within tabs. It's the MUI tabs indicator. So as long as they don't change the CSS class on that, we can borrow that class. So we're going to say tabs. Let's say, or no, not and, because this is tabs. Or is this tabs? Let's try span. Span.MUI tabs indicator. And it's going to be background color. We're just going to try and set it to a different color. We're going to say background. Oops. background color. I'm going to try and set it to red just to see if we can do it. Amazing. Amazing. All right, so the indicator is going to be black. So we're going to say colors dot black. And there we go. Got it working. Amazing. What's the other thing? So basically, these tabs just need to be the same. So what have they done here? They've used like, I could do a custom tab. Let me try doing the custom tab, and if it doesn't work, then we will skip that. So we're gonna say, excuse me, const. Or maybe do we go back to creating tab? Maybe we go back to creating tab. But let me say const tab, custom tab. Because again, name conflicts. We're going to have a tab. I'm going to take in a label. This, oh, there's a way to do it. What is it? What am I trying to do? I'm trying to write props in line type React. Yes, that's what I want to do. So I declare it, then I go over here and I define it. There we go. String, just to kind of make my life a little bit easier. And then we're going to say, this is the label. Oops, label. Good. And yeah, that should be our custom tab. So then instead of tab, I'm just going to do custom tab and get rid of that. Say, why can't it be used as a JSX component? Oh, return tab. There we go. Return. We're just going to use our custom tab there. And if we go back here, awesome. Now they are. Ooh, are they not working? Oh no, they're not working. Oh no, why are they not working? Why are they not working? Return tab. Tabs, tab. No. Okay, what's the issue? It doesn't match the client. Let's give it one more refresh. Okay, it still doesn't work. All right, let's go back. Clearly, I've broken something essential. All right. Weird. Maybe it just had the way it's seated. Not sure. If you know, comment down below. So we're just going to copy and paste this for now. But we're going to have a refinement step at the end where we can actually just go back and clean up a lot of this kind of stuff. All right, so for now we have our tabs. We have homes, experiences, services. They do have these nice little images here. I wonder if I could be able to like download those. It's a video? That's crazy. That's insane. Why is it a whole video? All right, let's see if it... so if I do... I'm just going to put it somewhere just so I can see what it looks like. Does Next have a video component? Now I'm like, I didn't think it was going to be a video. I thought it was going to be an image. All right, let's try image. And we're going to say source equals images slash balloon selected .mov. And then we're going to say alt equals balloon. Oops, balloon. I'm just very... Okay, it needs the width. 30. Height. 30. Okay, so that didn't work. balloon selected.mov. Yeah, that just didn't work. Let's do videos in Next.js. Okay, so we just use a regular video. This is very interesting. Let's say video. Oh, wow. There it is. There's a little Airbnb balloon. All right, so if it'll let me grab the other ones. Let's see if I can inspect this. And this is one of the best ways to like grab things that you need. If you can just like go into the inspector and find it, much easier than like trying to go recreate an image or yeah, just like trying to get something that looks like it. If you can get the actual image itself, that's the best way to go about it. Okay, cool. We have our 3 videos. That's crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this. I just didn't think it was a video. I guess the animation. I don't know. Anyway, it just seems like that's not performant. But hey, let's do our labels here. So we'll say it's gonna be save that. Okay, not bad. I think this should be a box. I'm gonna say flex. Now this becomes into a whole thing. Now I really want it to be its own like tab thing, but it isn't. Like 50 by 50. Oh, these are huge. And also this is not meant to go next to homes. Let's do 75. Oh, wow, that made it really big. I think the text could probably also be bigger, so I think that's part of it. Oop, not that big. Maybe it's really not that much bigger. Actually, it might just be one rem, but maybe font weight. And it also might be the actual font itself. Okay. Interesting. Okay. And then the button itself has now become too big. All right, let's deal with this one piece at a time, because otherwise we're gonna get confused. First things first, I'm gonna try again to make the tab its own thing. So we're gonna say custom tab. I just think it would be so much better if it was its own tab, but I don't know that it's gonna work. So I'm gonna copy one of these tabs. I'm gonna go over back to my custom tab and see if it works. Missing imports, great, save that. And then I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna say custom tab. Let's see if that works. But it won't click. It won't click. Let me ask Claude. Why isn't my custom tab in at navigation tabs clickable? It has a video element that's blocking the clicks. Are you sure? You sure the video element was present when it was working? The only change I've made is moving it to its own component. It doesn't receive any props from the parent. All right, so without any props. Oh, okay. Yes. Let's do that. All right, so let's try it. It says it works. Ah, look at that. All right, all right. See, again, Claude is helpful. But he can't code the whole thing. So, awesome. Passing those props, sorry. Props, tabs, props. The other things that we're going to need to do, though, is we're going to need to pass the label, because they're all going to be different. Actually, really, I just need to pass the label as a string. The title, let's call it the title just to make it easier. And then we need to pass the image or the video source, which is also a string. Yeah, and everything else should be fine. So, source, let me copy this before I go ahead and delete it. So we're going to say the title is going to be homes, and the source, or the video, what did I call it? Video src is going to be that. And then we're going to, I wonder if this title, video src, and it's not mad, and it's mad because of the props. Oh, and what if I do props? Okay, let me go back to Claude. I also want to pass custom props to custom tab. Ah, we can use extends. That's perfect. Okay, so this is a good lesson here. So can get rid of this, I think. Let's take a look. Yeah, it works. Awesome. So yeah, basically what it did is it took the type, because the issue was that it wasn't like I wasn't writing it properly, essentially. But it needed to get both types of props. So I couldn't just put this in here and type it as props. But because we used extends, it's going to take all the properties from tab props, which is MUI type, and extend like the props that we've created, the props that we want, the title and the video source, and put those two together to make it work. So yeah, good to know if you're doing TypeScript. All right. Let's see what else we have here. So we have our custom tab, homes, experiences, source. So that's working. It's just did match the client. All right, so let's get the other two sorted here. So actually, this is not meant to be a balloon. This is meant to be house selected. And then we're just going to do two more of these. Experiences. We're going to do services. We're going to go get rid of these two tabs. And yep, that's how they spelled it. That's not how I would spell concierge, but that's how it was spelled when we saved it. We can change that, though. All right. Awesome. I think this is looking pretty good so far. This is looking pretty decent. Homes, experiences, services. You could tweak it a little bit. Like, move that up and down. But honestly, looking pretty good so far. Let me see if I can figure out, actually, what type of font they use. I think that's going to help a lot. Font family. This is their font family. Let me see if I can actually just use this. Let me go over to my globals. See if that changes anything on my page. Not really. Yeah, it looks to be the same. Airbnb serial VF. Where is this font from? Can we just download the font? Font Ico. Goofa fonts. Let's see. Airbnb serial font. There we go. Montserrat. Okay, let's see if we can add Montserrat. I can spell Montserrat. All right, I think we might need to download it. All right, I want to get the font. I want to download all. Let's get the embed code. Import it. What's the best way to do this? Let me look at our project setup again. I think maybe we drop this. Whoops. Drop this in our HTML. Which one doesn't have a closing? Oh, you're mad they all don't have closings. What if they self-close? Cross origin. Oh, and then camel camel case. Type true. All right, what if I get rid of it? Does it work though? And then family month. Okay, so maybe I need to put that in quotes and it would work. All right. 2 issues outside of the main document. Moving the root to the head tag. Where is the head tag? Not here. All right, let's go ahead and maybe add the head tag. Okay. No, still not getting Montserrat. Sans serif. All right, let's ask Claude one more time. My font isn't showing up. Montserrat. Yes. Oh, okay. So it's basically Next was injecting its own font, and that's why it wasn't working. So again, another good use to of AI. Like, it's just going out and clearing stuff that could have cleared at the beginning. Yes. But also left a lot of it in because it does do a lot of like the reset classes and things like that. So if I go back here, it's still not working. Without any conflicts. Let me try. Actually, let's do all and see if that works. There we go. Okay, I think I also need to put it in the right place. Montserrat's close, but it's not really that close. I think this might have been a fool's errand in this case. So we're just going to go ahead and remove that. Yeah, it's going to take that out. It's not really close at all. So we'll just leave the default font in there for now. Let's go ahead and commit all of this because we've made a whole bunch of changes. So we're going to say, what have we done? So we have our nav tab switching here. That's working. We have our logo, things like that. One thing, you know what? One thing we could do before we sort of just commit all of that. Because what I want to say is that the nav is working, but it should be working. So we're going to say link on the logo is going to be just link, href. So it'll just bring us back to the home page. The other thing that we're going to do with the tab, sorry, I really thought we were done. No, we're not done. The tabs, the navigation tabs, when we click each of those, we do want to implement our navigation. Now, the awesome thing about Next.js is that it actually has its navigation built in. So if I create a new folder and I call it not navigation, if I call it, what do I call it? Homes. Although I guess I want the home page to be homes. But no, yeah, we want to do homes. Then it'll bring us to whatever the page.tsx in that folder is, which is cool. So I want to go ahead and create another folder called experiences, and I want to create another folder called services, and save those 3. And then let's call this homes. So as long as there's a page.tsx, it automatically turns that page into a route, which is pretty cool. That's why I was like, we could use React Router. I was like, no, we don't need to use React Router. We have this built in. Could use React Router if you wanted to, or if we need to do something more complex, we'll see. But this seems to work just fine. experiences. There we go. Gonna save that. And now we want to go back to our custom tab, which, this is what it's going to do. Handle change tabs, set new value. We also want to, navigate. What is it? Next navigate, or is it just, do I wrap it in a link? Is that bad form? href equals, and it could be really simple. It could be slash title, 2 lowercase. Save that. Okay, it worked. It worked. Amazing. All right, it worked. It worked. Awesome. Awesome. That's so cool. All right, so what I want to do actually is copy this whole thing, because that's interesting. So when I'm here on Airbnb.com, the homes page and the Airbnb page, they do change. Okay, so there is a load. You notice these two change places. So they are 2 separate pages, but they're kind of the same page. So I'm just going to copy this over for now. I'm just going to drop it in here as well. Oops. Because I want to do a quick test to see a few things. Because that's actually going to get more complicated. All right. So go back here. Do a quick refresh. Experiences. See, that's what I was worried was going to happen. It resets back to homes every time we click. So, is there a better way to do this? Again, this is where we can ask Claude. All right, so what's my issue? My issue is that when I click on the tabs, it doesn't, like it refreshes the entire page. Because with Airbnb, it is refreshing, but I guess it has it cached as well, so it's like not as jarring. Right, and then I basically just want to persist. Am I going to use React persist? Let me ask Claude before I go dive into a hole. Let's say, can I use React persist to maintain the selected tab when the URL, when navigating, or is there a better way for me to handle this? Yeah, let's try that. I think as an engineer, it's important to treat Claude as like a coding buddy and not like, fix everything for me, build everything for me, because then you'll never learn. Okay, better approaches in React persist. URL-based state. Oh, right, I could do that. Shareable links, browser back forward, server side. Recommended solution. No extra dependencies needed. Matches Airbnb's real behavior. This tab would be selected based on the current route and update and navigated to use path name. I don't necessarily. Well, the tab should be selected based on the current route, not stored state. Yes. Let me see what this looks like, because I'm not fully sure if I grasp it. Like, I've used pathname before, but it says, let me see what it's doing here. Okay. So it basically, it's using like a numbering system rather than a like a naming system. That makes sense. All right, let's try that. Which actually makes sense, because having the tabs be numbers is better for accessibility. All right, we'll make that. Yep. I don't know why I hadn't imported it before, but import that. All right, let's see. Let's go back to here. Okay, that works. That works as expected. The only thing we need to do now is get rid of that flashing. All right, there's a flashing due to loading, because that's important to know. Mm-hmm. Video elements. So I don't need it to be a video element. It's just move nav to layout. Oh, I can move it to layout. Oh, that makes a lot more sense. But are we going to run into an issue when we make the other pages? Oh, interesting. We're using router now. So this is in custom tab. So it's going to auto preload. Yes, I think. I'm just thinking about this because we don't need this nav on we won't need it on the individual booking pages. So this might be a mistake in a few minutes. We'll see. All right, let's see if it worked. All that work? All right. I'm happy with that. All right. For me, it was worth it. All right. So let's look at our original nav. Pretty good. And our new nav. Pretty good representation. So that is going to be what we covered today. The next thing that we're going to want to cover is the core UI. So that's going to be the rest of this page here, how we load up our individual sort of the individual listings here, and then we're going to work on building out our individual pages, the individual listing pages, and the rest of the nav. So I'm just going to go ahead and commit all of this. So we're going to say add this in. Let's say navigation MVP. I'm going to push that up. All right, so we have our navigation working. The next thing that we're going to be working on building out is the rest of our core UI. So the rest of the landing page, the individual listing pages, and eventually our checkout pages. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe down below. And if you want to see other videos like this, click here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.